I'm getting a robot for the office.
What? No way. What kind of robot?
This cues your surprise shock.
Wow.
What?
What? We didn't know anything about this.
So what kind of robot are you going to get?
I'm researching a couple different models. Tesla doesn't seem to be really anywhere near. They say 2026, but like production models or whatnot. So I think I'm going to go Unitree. They have some pretty good. They got the G1 and the R1. But check this out, though. The World Economic Forum, Goldman Sachs estimates the humanoid robot market could reach 38 billion by 2035.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's
38 billion.
Yeah, that's insane.
I believe that. I mean, it's coming.
Yeah.
The wave is coming. So the G1 and the R1, what are the big differences?
Well, the R1 is supposed to be able to like do karate kicks and all kinds of acrobats and stuff like that. It's about 4 feet tall. And the G1 was just upgraded recently with the ability to run. So yeah, it's honestly, there's 2 reasons why I'm going to get a robot. Number 1 is because it's great publicity. I mean, let's be honest. Number 2, great content for us. You know, like our experience with the robot AI, programming it, reprogramming it, etc. I do like the Unitree models because they are open source, so we can pretty much kind of go in and write our own code for them and take it over in that aspect. And then number 2, like the reality is that I mean, the robots aren't coming; they're already here. You know, and it's going to be a huge part of reality. There was this. It says the World Economic Forum, which I misquoted. Oh no, this is another quote from them. Billions of humanoid robots could be operating across the world by 2040.
Wow. Billions of units.
Billions
of robots.
Yeah, by 2040. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, that'll be like what, 10% of human population.
Yeah. So check this out. Like the pricing on these things, manufacturing costs declined 40% year over year versus earlier projections of 15 to 20% annually. The prices have dropped from 90,000 to sub 20,000 in just 18 months. So,
wow.
I mean, they're going to be so cheap.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can get the entry level R1 for like $6,000. You know, it doesn't have like hands or anything, but, and I think they go up to like 30,000, you know, depending on how much you want to, you know, increase or improve, expand, you know, add-ons, stuff like that. But it's, I was listening to a podcast with, was it Neil deGrasse, Tyson? Yeah. The physicist, him and, this other guy, super popular podcaster. I forgot his name. Sorry. He, Neil deGrasse said something. It was the guy that wrote these books, like, or for like apocalypse and all of these horrible things that happen in the future and like the AI uprising and stuff. And somebody asked him, it was like, why do you write, you know, is this what you want to happen in the world? And he was like, no. He's like, I'm writing these things so that they don't happen. And I thought that was really interesting. And so Neil's his thought is like, well, maybe if we see the worst case scenario, like we'll do what we can do to avoid it. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's a good point. I think people will take it to the other extreme too and take those ideas and run with it.
Yeah. Yeah. There'll always be the bad characters.
Yeah.
I have no idea where all this drainage is coming from now. Sorry, guys. But so in today's podcast, episode 1, we are the AI Convergence podcast. and we're gonna be talking about the consciousness shift.
Hmm.
What happens when AI takes your job?
Ooh.
And that's a good thing.
That will be a good thing in our opinion, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I like to live in the positive side of things.
Yeah.
So let's dive into that. You know, first of all, let's introduce ourselves to those who don't know who we are. My name is Matt Aponte, the founder, CEO of Voxe AI, NutriZen, IsoSync Labs, and Serenapaw. And to my right, I have
Trey Mossman, CTO at Voxe AI.
And I'm Christian Camberov, head of media and content strategy here at Vox.
You know, it took me forever to pronounce your name right.
Yeah, me too. I still have trouble with it. Spelling it is one thing.
Yeah. I always say Camberov. So we got a couple aspects here. We have the philosophical, practical, societal, creative. So we're gonna cover those here.
So I guess
who wants to go first?
First and foremost, why do you want to purchase a robot? What are your plans with it?
I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life for 30 years. And just like with this main business that I'm running and we're growing and scaling now, Voxe AI, it started as a digital marketing agency, as you guys know. And early, just maybe 4 months into launching it, I realized that AI was going to be changing the face of digital marketing forever. And I've been in digital marketing since 2011. So I don't know, do the math, 14 years, something like that. It's been a long time. Yeah. And so I decided, I saw an opportunity. I also saw at first, whenever I was messing with ChatGPT in any real meaningful way, content, stuff like that, I was like, oh, crap. Okay. So this is happening. It's not going anywhere. I need to embrace it or, get left behind. And so that's when I, made the decision to build the business that was going to put my business out of business. I know you guys have heard me say that a million times. Yeah. And so here we are, Vox AI. We do focus on digital marketing for businesses, but we also build custom automations, custom coded dashboards, et cetera, et cetera. So we really just kind of focus on the segments or those segments for businesses to help them automate the mundane, so that way they can focus on the things that they enjoy doing most in their business. And with robots, that is pretty much doing the same thing, right? I was talking to a couple different AI models over the weekend while doing some research for this podcast, and the full adoption is estimated to be between 5 to 6 years of full adoption. And so, we have a little bit of time, but I want to get ahead of it. What does having a robot mean? Like a humanoid robot. Yeah. By the way, that was another thing that Neil deGrasse said. He's like, robots have been around forever. Like your auto driving car, that's a robot. Yeah. Your Roomba vacuum cleaner, that's a robot. Robots have been around for a long time, but humanoid robots, what does that mean? Help you see the difference in this podcast too, of like what's clickbait, what's real, what's not real. And then see, I really don't know, where, but like I said before, it will be a great publicity stunt. Hopefully be one of the first ones, if not the first ones here in our town to have a robot.
Oh, for sure.
And so, yeah, it's basically, that's the driving force. What do you guys think about that?
I think it'll be awesome. I can't wait to see it. I've been kind of anti-robot I mean, humanoid robot, like you said, robots have existed. I was an engineer, so I've seen them in manufacturing plants, and they're really sophisticated, but they're just robotic arms that do one job. So it'll be interesting to see over the course of time how this robot learns and adapts and develops like a little personality. So I'm excited for it. Yeah, I'm on board with embracing AI, and I think we need to, because it's moving so quickly, and if we don't, we're gonna get left behind. And yeah, so
Yeah, I think getting the robot is a non-negotiable for us. But this isn't like the robotics, the humanoid robots where we are right now they're just demos. I mean, they're literally just, we're basically just helping train and make a product that's in beta mode, like pretty far beta. In terms of robots actually being here and taking jobs and stuff like that, that's like 2040 plus. So we still have time before that happens. But I mean, there's a lot. It's deep because then you have the philosophical points. I think a big point is how we've adjusted to technology. We had the first smartphone. When was it? 2005, something like that.
the
Or
iPhone.
Yeah, I think so.
Is it 05?
Yeah.
So we've had 15 years, and we know, you cannot tell me that anyone has a like, the majority of people do not have a healthy relationship with their phone. There's no way.
Yeah.
Right. So in a way, we're still adopting it, still trying to figure out how it fits into our lives, in a non-toxic way. So I think if the phone's taking that long, and we have technology that's going to be coming that's way crazier than the phone, how long is it going to take us to evolve, to adapt to it?
Yeah. So interesting fact. The iPhone was in 2007. BlackBerry series was the early 2000s. The Ericsson R380 in 2000 was actually the first device marketed as a smartphone. But technically, IBM Simon Personal Communicator was in 1992, and it was released to the public in 1994. So, I mean, if you use those things, I think AI is the great multiplier. But I think that's a really good point, though. Like another great question would be like, when was the first website? Because if we're talking 2007, 5 to 6, counting on my fingers, that's 19 years, right? To get to the point to where we are now. And smartphones is just a part of our life, right? Like it's, and that was another thing I thought was interesting that Neil deGrasse, whatever your opinions of him are, said. He said he thinks that generative AI, it's just going to be like just a part of our life. Like it's not really going to, it'll impact and change humanity, but the generative intelligence is just like having like another one of you, right? Like you're able to reason, learn, and you don't have to really be prompted on anything. And so it's going to be part of our everyday lives. So how do we use that and leverage it? The first website was created by Tim Berners-Lee at CERN. Jesus, I didn't realize these people have been around for so long. 1990. It went live in 1991. It's still accessible today. When did websites, I know we're getting off a little track here, but when did websites go mainstream? Because that's a really good question, because this is one thing that with some of my AI models, I'm trying to kind of figure out, like, when is the adoption curve? And so 94 early growth, 93, 94, 95, 96 was a tipping point. Peak mainstream adoption was 97, 2000. Having a website became standard for businesses by the late 1990s. Wow. Okay. So if you think about it that way, 93 early growth, Mosaic browser, 1993, websites. So we're talking 7 years, give or take,
Mhm.
for websites.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I didn't realize it was that fast. And then smartphones, you know, I mean, we're talking that was the 2007 was the iPhone. And then I think, you know, they probably went mainstream probably another 5, 7 years after that. So yeah, that's kind of what we're predicting, or what the AIs are predicting now, 5 to 7 years. So if you kind of base that, and just like now we live in a world where some people still have, I know it's rare, but I've seen people that have flip phones,
Yeah.
you know, like, or
Yep.
the old
Well,
bricks.
some people do it on purpose
Yeah.
to prevent themselves from, being too addicted to it. So
Which isn't a bad idea.
no,
Honestly, I looked at my daily average phone usage the other day and it was depressing.
isn't it crazy?
Yeah, it was depressing. Even though I do a lot of work on my phone, it was still depressing.
But not all of it's work.
Yeah, no, it's not.
So it's interesting. So 5 to 7 years adoption, which is actually pretty much right on track with the 2040, because the technology, the robotic technology, is still about 10 years out. All the research suggests. So yeah, we'll have AI doing physical stuff by 2030, but that'll only cover a very marginal amount of work. Like for example, today, like Optimus can fold laundry, but it requires a lot of things. It has to be in a perfect environment, perfect lighting, and it also took them months of programming just to do that one task.
Oh wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like this thing is just. It's not like the self-driving vehicle where it's been doing this. We've already had like however long, how much data they have to be training the Tesla on. And it does a very good job, but the robots are just here. So it's going to take time to get all of that data. But so that's more of a conservative look at it. And then the research suggests 2030 to 2040 is really the time where they're doing pretty much most warehouse and factory work. I mean, they're literally producing most of our goods. And then it's still probably not going to be in the household very much. But 2040 is going to be pretty much general purpose robots. I mean, that's going to be a really normal thing. Like they're
Like,
pretty much
They'll
going to
be
be
walking on the streets with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
just
they're
be part of
like
society.
Robot
they're
butlers.
they're like another human.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then you have the adoption curve to that.
Mm-hmm.
So then you'll so it depends.
So we're
I mean, it
we're
could
gonna
be
we're
even-
way ahead. The story of my life.
Yeah. Who knows though? I mean, AI is moving so fast. I feel like it's just overtaking like everything. There's so much hype behind it. I mean, the technology itself is accelerating so fast. So unlike, the .com boom where it's like, you're dealing with 56K and AOL and like all these, slow platforms, AI is just so quick and like people are almost forced to kind of adopt it. So I feel like it might accelerate like a little bit more quickly the adoption rate than most other technologies, and people will be forced to kind of take it on.
Well, that also depends on like how many private companies there are like us that will do what we're doing. Because I want one for when we go do events, trade shows, stuff like that. So the more and more people see a robot, the more just it's human tendency, the more desensitized you get to it,
Yeah.
the more used to it you do. And then the more then you're like, well, what can it do? And then you actually see it doing something and you're like, oh, that's pretty valuable to me. I think some of the first areas where it's going to be is like elderly care, the homes and stuff like that. But I didn't even think about that. The lighting has to be good because it has cameras for eyes.
Yeah.
So the lighting has to be excellent. And then it has to be able to, even if it's dark. So if it is dark, it has to have night vision. So it has to be able to see that or thermal, whatever. And that's just more cost on things. to be able to process, data, different types of cameras to do those things. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Are we ready for it? Do you think humans are psychologically ready for this?
Psychologically, I don't think so. I mean, I'm still kind of like on the cusp of me wanting a robot in my home, you know. And I know we talked about Neo a little bit, that new robot that came out
Yeah.
that I think just got released and is in pre-orders right now for people to actually have them in their home. This cutesy little robot. So yeah, apparently it can fold laundry. Not sure what else it can do, but it's just like a little household little guy that hangs out in your home. And I know, Matt, you mentioned that there's cameras on it that people can actually tap into for,
Oh yeah.
customer support, and things like that. So I know we talked about how that's kind of a little weird and strange to have somebody to be able to just, put themselves in your robot and be in your home basically,
Yeah.
so easily.
Yeah, because it was an upgrade. So
Mhm.
like you could upgrade your service and you would have somebody in their center puts on a VR headset and they take over the robot and like they, I guess can help, but they also said it's like the hive mind training
Mhm.
kind of a thing. But yeah, but then you have somebody whom you don't know, like in your robot. So there's got to be security,
Yeah.
concerns to that too.
Mhm. Yeah, somebody can hack into it, and
Yeah.
so I think
It's like,
things
why
like
does
that.
this robot keep walking in on me when I'm in the shower?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other point though. Like I said, they either can do a task because they're in a perfect environment and they've been programmed for months to do that one task in that one environment in that one lighting, or you have people controlling it behind the scenes. That's where we are right now
Mhm.
in terms of humanoid robots. Honestly, I think what will come faster is not humanoid robots. Like, we're going to have robotics that can do tasks, but it's not going to be the way people imagine. I think everyone imagines robots here by 2030 are just robots walking around everywhere. But it's really going to be like, what we already have: robots in factories, robots building infrastructure, self-driving vehicles at scale. Not supervised self-driving vehicles, like they're just driving you everywhere. I mean, that's really where you're going to see most of it, is the self-driving vehicles.
Mhm.
Um,
Like little
maybe even
R2s.
cooking for you.
Yeah, R2D2s. kind of things.
R2D2s.
Yeah. Oh, well, they have
The dogs
like
and
the
stuff.
delivery ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
My wife
exactly.
travels a lot, and she showed a video where she had a little what was it, Uber or something like that, delivered, and she just and took her food out. It came right up to her hotel door, and then and then drove away.
Yeah, they're out in public just driving around. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So
So that's more real. Like, that's what
yeah.
you're thinking when you see, robots 2030.
Yeah. Manufacturing for sure is going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't you? I mean, it's easy to just have one thing doing one task over and over again, as opposed to a human. So manufacturing is definitely going to blow up. It's going to be a lot faster, a lot more efficient. And yeah, the Waymo taxis are cool. I know they're in LA and a bunch of different cities.
Yeah.
But yeah, can't wait to have them here. Like, I hear it's a cool experience. You get in, you can change the music, temperature, you can just kind of hang out, and it's a lot cheaper than an Uber too. So
I'm all for it.
yeah.
I mean, when I think about it, I've liked robots. I mean, I've been into robots since I can remember. I remember when I was a little kid, and some of you guys out there will remember it. It was like this little blue. It was like a toy you could get, and it had like little robot, little claws, and you could control it with the knobs. You could just move it around. And I thought it was so cool. I wanted to build my own. So like I went into my dad's shop and I started like cutting wood and having pulleys and stuff to where I could, move it around. And I had a little bike grips for hands, so I could move it and then I could grab it and then bring it up and stuff. And it was hard. I was using 2x4s that were too heavy, but I for a really long time, I just thought I was like, I want my own robot, So
Yeah.
when I think about it, I think it's been something that I've always wanted. I thought it's been really cool. I've been fascinated by it. Um, you know, right now we are in AI is automating things. So there's this really interesting thing that's going on too. It's like a lot of these big companies. So everybody, the whole fear of like AI is going to take your job, right? And then now, we've even said it too. AI, it's not AI that's going to take your job. It's somebody that knows how to use AI is going to take your job. And I think in many instances that is true. But the numbers that are being published about companies that are cutting due to AI, I was reading an article on Friday of how they did a report. It was a Medium article, and they ran reports to find out that these companies that were saying, we slashed X amount of jobs, 5,000 jobs due to AI, whatever. Turns out that they were basically using the AI as the bad person, when in reality, they just wanted to cut back to make a buck.
Mhm.
And so the truth of it, the truth of the matter is a lot of those people were moving people around. So they were firing and then moving them or rehiring them in a different portion of the business. But what it came down to was, they have their investors and their board. And so when you're like, oh, we have to cut back due to losses or poor, return on investment, that doesn't sound as good as, oh, restructuring for technology and AI future. And that seems more responsible, right? And so these numbers where there's thousands of people that are losing their jobs to AI are actually false. They're super bloated and based off of incorrect numbers. So we're not even, while we are seeing it, I think we're only seeing that like people who are in our industry, right? So like in our industry, it doesn't behoove us to hire someone on our team unless they know how to use AI, right?
Right.
In some aspect, especially in the area where we need to start growing and scaling, which is development, right?
Yep.
Growing and development. But we're such a small percentage, of those types of businesses that are out
Yep.
there. And so I really think when you start looking at everything, what the real numbers are, how far, robotics are from being mainstream, and all the work that we're doing, with I do think call centers are going to have they're facing a restructuring here, and some are even getting shut down because that we build and install voice AI agents that do an amazing job, and once they're up, they're running, and they're 99% uptime, 99% perfection. And so if you were hiring somebody just to answer the phones, that would could replace their job, or, at least just have them on standby. They could do other admin tasks. And then if for whatever reason, the AI can't answer, it should roll over to them. That's how I would responsibly implement it into a business. But I think when you see everything from a factual standpoint, I think we're just a lot of this AI washing, and this talk about AI. I think we're all just victims of like fear mongering, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's hard to believe when these numbers come out of tens of thousands of employees getting cut by this timeline. I think Amazon just made an announcement or something, or even now, like the present, just businesses adopting AI so quickly that they're really cutting that many employees. For me, it's hard to believe. I mean, it's moving fast, but not to the point where we can completely rely on solely AI to do things for us. Because, like you said, we're going to need people that are proficient in it. This next generation, like Trey, of people that are growing up in AI are just going to be, insane. But they're still learning and adopting it as well. So, yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of time to embrace it, to learn it, and it just honestly makes your life so much easier. And gets rid of the mundane tasks that you hate doing on a daily basis. Emails. I was a customer service rep at one point. I hated it.
Yeah.
I don't know any customer service rep that likes their job, so things like that will, as we talked about before, allow us to focus on the things that we're really passionate about. So yeah, interesting numbers there though. And
Yeah, I don't think you should ever listen to those. Listen to those reports where they're saying that they're cutting jobs because of AI. Because the reality is most businesses right now are actually struggling really bad. And therefore it's a perfect scapegoat, like you said. So you have to read between the lines. And it's actually, everything's right there. It's actually pretty clear that all of that is pretty much fake, because the only things AI can do, like you said, is customer service. That can really replace somebody. It's customer service.
Yeah.
And call centers, because in reality, the companies that are using AI haven't fired anybody. Look at Anthropic. Claude now writes 90% of Anthropic's code. So Claude's making Claude. Yet they haven't fired a single engineer, software engineer. Everyone thinks, that it's writing 90%, so 90% of software engineers gone. No, they're all just using it.
Yeah.
And they're all staying.
Yeah.
Like, they don't just, if anything, they're probably hiring more, because they have to keep up with the growth and keep making a better product.
Yeah.
That's reality. That's like companies that are actually making money too. It's only, like 10% of the market's driving the whole market. They're all AI companies. Basically, if they're in AI, if they're in this industry, they're basically leading this market, while all other companies, most of them, are being demolished right now. And if you just look at that, look at what Anthropic's doing, it's pretty clear. The proof's in the pudding, and these people are just using it as a scapegoat.
Yeah.
And they're screwed. They're trying to make a situation that's really bad for them, because they have no idea how to use AI in their business.
Yeah.
And they're cutting back on labor costs, which is not going to help them, but
looks good for the shareholders, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Looks good on the, P&Ls and I think we're at a phase right now where AI used responsibly and ethically is empowering businesses, not cannibalizing them. Yeah. And there's a lot of businesses out there that are struggling, namely the small businesses, which are 92% of all businesses in the United States. And so those are the businesses that can benefit from automations, automated onboarding, handling inbound calls, outbound reminders, those types of things. All those little things that the small business owner forgets to do because they're working on the fulfillment or the stuff that, in their mind is what's bringing in the money. And so that's where, I think we're in a beginning, before the tsunami of where AI is empowering, but it is going to shift. But I think we're about 5 to 7 years out, where it's gonna shift once it's really more adopted mainstream, because AI adoption and automations are going to be adopted much sooner than robotics. Then we're going to have robotics and humanoids and things like that actually do those things and remove things like Uber, right? Uber drivers, man, the taxi cab drivers, they really got it bad, don't they? Because like it was like taxi cabs, and then Uber came along, and they were like, Derek, no Uber in our town, kind of a thing. Then now you have self-driving cars, and then like your car is gonna be, you're like, I don't even need to be in the car, Man,
it's like the taxi drivers became Uber drivers, and now they're just getting rid of the driver.
And then there's no driver at all. So boy, that's kind of funny, but not funny. So let's move to the world where all of this, like, we are full adoption, right? A larger percentage of people are using AI. They're using it wisely. They're freeing up the mundane. Um, they're not having to think about, and I'm not promoting not thinking, but there are certain things that you don't need to spend your mind energy on, right?
Mhm.
Like, look at my schedule. Should I pick up my kids first or go to here or whatever? Like, what's the best place to do? AI is going to be automating those things. Hey, based on where you're at in your calendar and the times, blah 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 blah. This is the best route to help. Awesome. Let's just do it, right? That's going to save a lot of time, a lot of energy. So in that world, there's going to be a lot of free time. And my whole f- philosophy about this is that so currently we live in a slave world, right? So we have to, we have to basically work to make money, to go do things, to pay for rent, to pay for food. We only have a little bit of time, free time. 90% of our life is working, cleaning, tasks just to survive. And so I think a lot of people would argue that that's not living. That's just mere existing. And I see AI as something that's going to force humanity to confront this mere existence. Because when you have more free time. I don't promote, and I never will, having a robot walk your dog. Like, free up your own other shit and just walk your dog yourself.
Enjoy your dog, guys.
Yeah, exactly. But there is going to be a time where businesses, and I think we're going to be one of the players in this, where businesses have implemented, they have tools, they have standard operating procedures of automation and AI, to where it's just making everything run so smoothly that they're going to force an identity crisis. It was a pretty cool. I think we'll get into that next. This empty nesters syndrome, I thought was a really cool saying. But here's some really interesting statistics on. So in October 24, the average working week for all employees on the private non-farm payrolls in the United States was 34.3 hours. Full-time employees in the U.S. reported working an average of 44.1 hours in 2019. That dropped to 42.9. Full-time employed people averaged 8.4 hours of work on weekdays that they worked and 5.6 on weekends days that they worked. But these numbers mask the reality, because this includes part-time workers, which bring down the average. So the truth of it is they're actually working 44 regular 9 to 5ers are working 40 to 45 hours per week. And that's per job. A lot of people can't afford to live on just one job. And many people work 50 to 60 hours plus just to survive. Here's the Gallup. So Gallup's 2024 survey, talking about like evidence that we live in a slave world, right? So you think of slaves and you think that they're not that happy with what they're doing. So only 18% of employees said they were extremely satisfied with their organization. It's the lowest ever recorded number. About half of US workers are satisfied with their job. Only 30% highly satisfied with how much they're paid. And that came from Pew Research Center. And globally, almost half of employees love their job. 3 out of 10 are fairly satisfied. 9% are displeased. 6% are absolutely hate their job. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do we live in a slave world? Remember, I'm your boss. So
yeah, except here, I love it at Vox. No, honestly, I do, because I came from that world where, and we've talked endlessly about this, about my old career and how I felt like a slave, just doing the same thing over and over that I wasn't passionate about. I wasn't using 100% of my creative ability when I got into the field of engineering, thinking I would be a creative. It was just red tape and bureaucracy and politics and all that stuff. And yeah, so even after going to school, pursuing what I thought would be a good career, I ended up hating it and, jumped ship to pursue something creative, which is, inherently is what I am. And I think a lot of people are in that position. And they work a job so they can survive, and everybody's in survival mode. Everybody's stuck in traffic, trying to pick up their kids, trying to get to the next spot. And then eventually they get home and they have 1 to 2 hours to maybe like eat dinner, get ready for bed, put their kids to bed, hang out with their spouse for a second, and then wake up and do it again. To me, that sounds like slavery, because where in that, where in your life do you find areas, unless you're very intentional, where you do what you're passionate about? And not many people are passionate about working at an insurance agency or whatever it may be. No knock on that. Like, you got to make a living, but inherently as humans, we are creatives and are passionate about many things, not just going to work and surviving and making money. So yeah, absolutely feels like a slave world. I was victim to it, and I think AI can definitely help that change. So
Yeah, I agree. That's the promise, is that we get out of that kind of world.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, just look at inflation, look at the amount of money look at wage growth and look at inflation, and it pretty much tells you the whole picture. Like, everyone's getting poorer unless you're investing your money or exponentially growing your income somehow. Usually the only way to do that is through entrepreneurship. In America, like, that's just how it is.
Yeah, or working 60 hours a week.
Yeah, you can increase
jobs.
your by input. Yeah. So yeah, that's not, and it's sad because it's like pretty much everybody is living that life. And then social media, of course, is telling them that they have to go and spend their money on all these other things.
Yeah.
The comparison is so bad that, mental health has to be, it's just awful.
Yeah.
So, it makes a lot of sense, the 18% number. It makes a lot of sense that's a record low too. It's like we have the perfect storm for that.
Yeah. 80%. Can you check? I think my thing died here. 80%. So it was the Gallup report. 80% of people of employed people state that, here it comes, state that they do not make enough money to survive and pay their bills. 80%. That's insane. I've been there. I think we've all been there. And this is also an interesting thing too, because you talk about entrepreneurs like input, right? More input equals output. This is where AI can change the game if you use it properly, because you can maximize your input like we've done. And you can get, with the same amount of time, 40 hours a week, you can maximize your input and obviously get a much bigger output.
Yep.
And so, but this whole hustle mentality that we live in is just a trauma response. Like entrepreneurs, I can speak, I have 30 years of deep experience being an entrepreneur, trauma, overcoming that, etc. And one of the reasons why entrepreneurs go and they hustle so hard is, for number one, maybe they did come from the slave world, if we put it that way. And there are a lot of people out there who work in corporate America, by the way, I'll state, my wife being one of them, who absolutely loves her job, right? She absolutely loves it. It took her 10 years to find that job, but she absolutely loves it. So we're not pointing fingers at all you people out there. Some people are designed to be entrepreneurs. Some people aren't. Some people are designed to be business owners. Some people aren't. And some people are designed to be entrepreneurs in other people's businesses. And so, however, with a lot of business owners, and I have not spoken to a business owner in my lifetime where this has been different, is you get out of the corporate world or you start your own business and you work 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week. You're working all the time. and it's a fear response because you're so afraid of failing. You subscribe to this hustle mentality. And let me be clear, when I say hustle mentality, I'm not saying you shouldn't work, because action begets action and delivers results. But this constant working, and I've been there to the point to where I'm not working and I would get anxiety because I'm not working.
Yep.
And I'm trying to relax with my wife on vacation or some me time, and I will have little triggers of anxiety like, oh shit, what if something's going to break or fall down or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a trauma response. Like working 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 hours a week is a complete trauma response. You brought up the term mental health earlier. That is poor mental health. So whenever over the next 5 to 7 years, whenever AI automations helps to change that landscape to where we have intelligent systems helping us make intelligent decisions in our business. We have automations doing things, helping us with fulfillment. So not so that it takes less of us, but we're able to do a lot more with who we have. That's going to inherently create a gap of who am I? Because I know me for the longest time as an entrepreneur. I mean, even still, somebody asks, who are you? I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur, right? Like that's my identity. So, at what point does AI take up so much of your time to where now you start having an identity crisis?
Yep.
It's like, who am I? What am I doing? And we are way ahead of the curve on this conversation because nobody's talking about this, but it is coming. And so let's go back to the passion gap. Only 20% of workers feel very passionate about their jobs. 33% believe they have reached a dead end in their career, and only 30% strongly agree that they can do what they do best at their work. It's the lowest percentage since Gallup began tracking in 2008. So what does this create? And if that's the case, over the next 5 to 7 years, what are we heading into?
I think there's going to be kind of a period of like renaissance almost, where, people, they have all this free time. And there's probably going to be a era of like turmoil and chaos because people are going to have this free time. And like you said, it's going to be an identity crisis and people don't know themselves, at that point. So it's going to be a lot of figuring out, a lot of, chaos, angst, frustration, maybe, until things finally kind of die down and AI is doing its thing. And over here, us humans are, creating, painting, making music. I feel like innately that's kind of what we gravitate to, is like we're creators. And, you look at the pyramids, you look at all these creations, these magnificent creations throughout the course of human history. I think it's going to give time and a place for things like that to happen again. So who knows what that'll result in. I think it'll be amazing. I'm optimistic about it. But yeah, I feel like it'll be kind of like a little renaissance period, So
I think we'll live at that point. I think it'll be like we'll be the most primal we've ever been with the most technology ever. Yeah. But I still think the research points to, and if you were to bet on this, this is 25 years out, 20 years out probably. I think early adopters will get to that point earlier, maybe 15 years. But the time between 15 years from now and right now is what I'm most worried about. Because of what you just said, how bad those stats are. Then what happens because it's going to be white collar first, so you're going to start losing white collar jobs immediately. So Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, thinks we're going to have 20% unemployment in the next 1 to 5 years, and that's pretty much all going to be entry-level white collar. So, Yeah. What like,
Yeah.
what does that do? Because yeah, they hate their lives, but when they don't have a job now, like, what do we do?
Some people are comfortable with going to work, going home, and that's it. Having a simple life, which is fine. And
Yeah.
you take that away, what happens then? So
Yeah,
how
what
do you
does
guys?
that period look like?
Yeah.
I mean, that could be 10 years of a period like that where people are struggling through that.
Oh yeah, it will be the
I
empty
mean-
nester syndrome. It was really cool. Like I did some research on this with like people that have gone, parents. So when we say empty nester syndrome, it's like it refers to parents, right? They've been married 50 years and their kids move out of the house and after 20, 30 years and they realize they don't even know who the hell they're living with. They're like, who are you?
Yeah.
They have to get to know themselves, get to know the person that they're with. A lot of marriages don't survive empty nester syndrome. They divorce, they go their separate ways. And so here's a couple of things that I think it's really interesting. So it is the complicated tangle of feelings parents experience when their children move out, including grief, loss, fear, difficulty adjusting roles. There's an identity crisis. A large part of one's identity often becomes defined by their role as a parent, and suddenly there's recognition that a significant change is about to occur. They often feel adrift in the beginning, experiencing an overnight loss of identity, similar to other major changes such as divorce or retirement. And for many parents, role confusion and loss of identity are hallmarks, as being a mom or dad was their primary identity. So while we're not talking about parents here, this is a direct correlation to what's going to happen, right? And if I didn't see it coming, it would happen to me too. It's like my identity is I'm an entrepreneur. I build things. I grow businesses, and that's always going to be the case. But whenever somebody is out there who is like there's so many areas like we see it in football and sports all the time, right? You grow up and you play basketball or football and you go to the NFL and then the NFL is done with you because you're too old and your identity was I'm a football player. And now, you see them trying to do different things that still have that identity.
Yeah.
And so we can see it in lots of different areas now. And this is going to be something that's going to be global to where people are going to have to face themselves and be like, who am I? My job was taken. Like, let's go back to like the horse and buggy. When there was horses and carriages, there was a whipper, like a guy, I don't know what they call him, the carriage guy, like he was the guy that was driving the carriage and hitting the whip.
Yeah.
Like when cars came, like what was he going to do? He's like, I've been a whipper for my whole life. 20 years, I'm born and bred horses. And now there's these steel, stallions that are taking over the street. But the point is that these people they found new jobs, new things, right? So it's going to be a massive shift because there was a study. It says by 2030, 30% of current U.S. jobs could be automated, while 60% will see significant task level changes due to AI integration. And that was from National University. McKinsey and Company, by 2030, activities that account for up to 30% of hours currently worked across the U.S. economy could be automated. And so, but 60%, possibly up to 80% of jobs are expected to be automated or significantly transformed by AI by 2050. But then there was another study that showed that while 85 million jobs will be displaced, now, and this is old because this is saying by 2025, 97 million new roles will simultaneously emerge, and that was by SSRN. So what we're going to see is like what you do for a living is going to shift, but I think AI is going to integrate itself into so much of everything that we're going to have to be forced, like what you talked, about before, like woodworkers and building things and plumbers, people that actually love plumbing and building houses and doing stuff. So basically what I'm saying is we're all going to be Amish. So
Sounds fun with robots. So how do we prepare for that? Because big thing in empty nester syndrome is the wife or the spouses are so focused on their kids and making sure their kids are supported and taken care of that they drift themselves. It's almost like when people find identity in their work or whatever that may be, they place their identity in, and that's taken away, and they don't take the time to get to know themselves throughout the process. That's where the collapse kind of happens, or the misidentity happens, the divorces happen, because when the kids are gone, it's like we drifted so much apart we don't know each other anymore. So how do you guys think we can prepare for that, help people prepare for that, or just as a society, things we can do?
Well, so it's all identity based, right? So number one is you don't get shocked whenever you can see something coming miles away. You can prepare for it, right?
Yep.
I think the problem with humanity, or the challenge with humanity now, is that we're all so buried in our phones, and much of people, society consumes the news of what's going on and what's happening on social media, and that's a huge distraction. It doesn't matter what right wing, left wing news; it's a huge distraction. It's just a game. And so if you have your head in the sand and you're just caught up with all of these things, you will find yourself one day, like so many have, without a job. What am I doing? This job doesn't even exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I've put out hundreds of applications. No one's hiring for this, or I'm not prepared for this next shift. So start thinking about it now, right? How can you prepare your future? How can you upskill yourself so that way you can be ready for this? Another thing too is the most important thing that you could do is what nobody seems to want to do these days is actually, ask yourself, who am I? What am I doing?
It's a tough question. Yeah.
Like, who am I? Like that is a real deep question if you allow yourself to sit with it, and a very revealing question. Who am I? A lot of people would identify as I'm a mom, or I'm a dad, or I'm an engineer, or I'm an entrepreneur, or whatever. But whenever that basis for that identity is taken from you, knowingly or unknowingly, then so is your identity. And I can relate to identity stripping firsthand. Whenever I was raised in a religious cult, and then I left that whenever I was 27 years old. In that whole time, from the time I was born to the age of 27, when people would ask me, like, who are you? Like, that was my identity. Well, I am X, right? And that's how they program you to be. Well, I am an X. And so then for the first time, I found myself, well, I'm not that anymore, but so then who am I? And that was a good 10 years for me of trying to figure that out. Then it took a lot of pain and a lot of growth. And so you can start doing that now. You can start asking yourself the hard questions. Am I doing what I really love? Am I passionate about my life and how I impact myself and others here? And those are very deep, subconscious, patterns and recognition things and hard questions to ask. And I think most people, even if this podcast goes viral to 20 million people, and everybody listen to it and they love it, maybe 0.5% of people will take it and start using it, because that's just how people are.
Yep.
You don't start making changes until you start feeling that pain. So we will get into this renaissance, if you will, forcefully, and there will be a 10-year, pain hurt locker where people are trying to figure out what they're doing, and everything that they used to do is now automated, and they're going to have to figure out, where is my place in society? And I don't even know what that looks like, because I've never lived in a world like that. What is it? What is it like
Mm.
when you live in a world where robotics and AI are doing most of everything that you would do? Well, God, I guess I should just go out and run more, exercise. AI can't lift my weights for me. Maybe travel,
Mm.
do more painting, of which I absolutely need to do more of. Learn to play guitar. So it's the to answer your question, there is no easy question. It's to be aware of it and to start preparing in the way that makes sense to you.
Yeah, immediately the first thing that you can do is upskill. The research shows that 40% of workers are going to be required to upskill by 2030, or you're basically going to be out.
That's 4 years from now. That's
Yeah, so
close.
Yeah.
in the near term, that you need to be focused on that. But for longevity and focusing longer term, it's a fool's errand to try and predict the future and try and predict what it's going to look like, and try and see what's going to hit you. Instead, just think of it as like a general, there's a cataclysmic event that's going to happen. And it's not going to just happen overnight. You're going to watch it. It's going to happen over the next, 10, 15, 20 years. But what you can do is prepare your brain to be agile, to be flexible, and just be able to pivot on a swivel and not be stuck in any way or tie your identity to anything right now, and pretty much just live every day as if your job tomorrow can be gone, and you need to be able to be really quick and just expect it's coming.
What do you think is like one practical skill that people can try and upskill themselves with when it comes to AI? Say they know nothing about AI, and they just want to get into it. They know they have to, but what's like a tangible thing that they can start doing, you think?
I think the first thing is, the way I started using AI was I figured out all my pain points in my life that was taking a lot of time or stuff that I was putting off, and attack them first with AI. Just kill all of your procrastinations,
So just
because
like
you can literally
LLM.
do it.
Learn Chat GPT and just learn how to talk to it and
Produce things
yeah.
that are useful.
Learn how
Use
to produce
AI
them.
to create
Mhm.
something useful
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
you. Do it for you first, because you can
Yeah.
actually see if it's actually useful or not.
It's a good point.
Mhm. Yeah. Become better communicators.
Yeah, that's
Like,
huge.
Yeah, and it's so mind blowing to me that this necessity when it comes to building training using AI is such a game changer in humanity too. It's like when you're a great communicator in humanity, or at least a good one, you get to have better conversations. There's less assumptions that happen. You, as a leader, you get much better, results, etc. From your team, employees, whatnot. And it is a direct correlation to the same thing with AI.
Yep.
When you learn how to talk and speak to AI and communicate with prompting, you get such a better result. And so I think the people that apply themselves to that, because we're gonna have to learn how to talk to computers,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a while before they can think for us and predict our needs and do things for us. And so we're going to have
Yep.
to be able to learn how to, whether that's prompting or whether that's through having a robot and you're having to tell it what it is that you want, so that way it can learn your needs. Or if you're just starting with ChatGPT and you want content for your business or scripts or images or whatever, like, you have to learn to be an amazing communicator. So I think that's the first place to start, and you can only do that through practice.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. As far as like psychologically, asking the question, who am I? I know it's kind of an abstract question to ask yourself, and people might not know how to do that. For when preparing for when this kind of Renaissance period happens, what's something philosophically that people can do that's a little bit less abstract than, asking that question?
Well, look at your life. I always say, unfortunately, there's no easy first step into deep personal development. What I always say is look around you, look at your finances, your bank account, your relationships, your social, your love, relationships, your work, what you're doing. If you are not happy with where you're at in any one of those, and some people might be really happy over here, but hating it over here. It varies for everybody. In any area or in most areas of your life, if you're not happy, then you have to take responsibility for that. So you have to start taking extreme responsibility for where you are in your life, because nothing's going to change. Like, you're not going to be able to sit there and say, who am I really? Unless you start taking responsibility for your identity. So that's always, I've never been like a sugarcoater. Kind of, you guys know, it's like, I'm not a sugarcoater. It's like, if you're not happy in some aspect of your life, it's basically your fault. And that for some people that's depressing, but I think for most people, and for me, it was empowering, right? Because I can be the curator of my own experience and my own life. And I believe that, and will believe that till the day I die. And so I encourage people who are listening to this is start taking accounting of every aspect, of your life, and look for areas where you can automate. What are some things that I could do? Is it my calendar? Is it my email inbox that's driving me insane? Maybe I can learn to use AI to automate that, free up some time, free up some stress. Is it invoicing, people? Is it following up, whatever it is, answering the phones, those kinds of things? Move a little bit of that, and then start looking at your own life. It's like we optimize your externals and then begin to optimize your internal systems. And when you do that, I really don't have a super simple, honestly, it is simple. It's just not easy.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's like, who am I? Get a pen and paper and write that question down. Who am I? And sit with that for 30 minutes, and identify that. I think that would be an extremely valuable exercise for anybody to do.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. Yeah. Sitting with yourself, taking that time, not getting caught up in so many things. Cool.
Yeah. Well, I think that's enough of us chatting off your ears for the AI Convergence podcast. Thank you guys for listening and following. And so check us next week, where we are going to be going into
They're going to be talking about content.
Oh,
and how that's going to affect society and the world.
Yes, AI content is destroying social media, and what comes next. Yeah. Like, subscribe, follow, all those good things. If you got something from this, share it, please. It is our goal and our mission to bring real talk to you, real value to you, not none of this AI bullshit hype. And also to those who are open to it, to help prepare you for a future that is not only coming, but it's already here.